Assalamu alaikum students. I hope you are fine and doing well. In the previous lecture, we have studied the introduction regarding linear second order partial differential equations. We had also studied the introductory paragraphs regarding canonical forms or normal forms. In order to derive the canonical form for any particular linear second order partial differential equation, you need a transformation. So in the previous lecture, if you remember, we had derived and named a transformation which is xi and eta, and we had seen that if we apply that transformation to our second order partial differential equation, which is equation 1 in our case, okay, if you apply this new transformation to equation 1 and change the variables and their derivatives with respect to xi and eta, then the type of partial differential equation does not alter. I mean to say that b square minus 4ac in new variables xi and eta, I had named that b bar square minus 4 a bar c bar. A bar, b bar and c bar are the new coefficients of second order terms like u xi xi, u eta eta and u xi eta. You can also say that this is the new principal part of your second order partial differential equation in terms of new variables xi and eta. Now the discriminant, which is b square minus 4ac, in new transformation it is b bar square minus 4a bar c bar. This was calculated to be as in equation 5, okay, in the last lecture, and it is evident that whether your partial differential equation is parabolic, elliptic or hyperbolic does not alter its type if you introduce new transformation, because if in the previous standard transformation b square minus 4ac is 0, then the new b bar square minus 4a bar c bar will also be 0. Also let us write that, because this is very important, b bar, okay, sorry, b bar square, okay, b bar square minus 4 a bar c bar, okay. So you can write this as 4a bar and c bar. Now this was calculated in the previous lecture as given by the equation 5. It says that xi x square, okay, xi x square, or you can write as well xi x square, okay, and now the second term is, sorry, xi x eta y, not xi x square, xi x eta y, okay, eta y minus xi y eta x, right, xi y eta x. So the same will be there, but the variables will be altered, xi y eta x, okay, okay, and the whole quantity has the square in equation 5. This was done in the last lecture, and we also have as the coefficient b square minus 4ac as well. If you remember, I had told you in the previous video that this quantity is named as discriminant square, okay, discriminant of Jacobian square, Jacobian of the transformation. What was your transformation? Transformation was xi and eta, xi and eta. So this was your transformation, and that quantity is actually Jacobian square basically. So you can write j square if you want. And on the right hand side, this was denoted as the discriminant Okay, this was the discriminant. I am writing in short which means discriminant of um, original, you can say original variables. Okay, means what? XY. Okay, when you had the standard variables XY. So now this is known as discriminant with new transformation, or you can say discriminant of new variables, which are xi and I, you know that. So now what I was trying to say you that if a partial differential equation, you can say case 1, a partial differential equation, so to say, any okay, you write AUX, okay, AUXX plus BUXY plus CUYY okay, plus DUX plus EUY okay, plus EUY plus FU plus G equal to 0. This was your standard, if you remember, standard form of second order partial differential equation. What I am trying to say that suppose that this is one example of an equation which is parabolic. So this is parabolic. Okay, if this is parabolic, what does that imply? This implies that if the equation is parabolic, then you can say that the discriminant in that form, the discriminant will be what? That discriminant, okay, will be 0. So just imagine what will be the discriminant in new transformation. Okay, this implies that, so you can put here what is that implication? Discriminant in new variable. What will be that? If your previous discriminant is 0, so using that formula, this you can say that this formula is 1. So using that formula, using 1, what you can write? You can write actually that if this is 0 in your example, so the new value will also be equal to 0. So what will be the answer of that discriminant? This will also be equal to 0 because previous is 0. Similarly, if you apply the second case, that whole equation which was parabolic is now elliptic, okay, elliptic, then what will be the discriminant? If you remember, the definition says that the discriminant should be negative, okay, this should be strictly negative. So if your previous discriminant is negative, this quantity will always be positive or 0. It cannot be 0 because if Jacobian is 0, then you cannot define the transformation. You only define the transformation xi and eta when your discriminant is non-zero. So this will be always non-zero, and that quantity is 0 implies that this is 0. But if that quantity in black which I have written there is less than 0, or your equation is elliptic, then what will happen? This implies that the discriminant in new variables will be what? B bar square minus A bar C bar, that will also be less than 0. So what actually I was trying to explain you, and I wanted that you all should be familiar with this knowledge. We concluded that transformation okay, transformation which is xi and eta, xi function of xy, eta which is also function of xy, okay, does not change or does not alter the type of partial differential equation, okay. So this does not change or alter the type of partial differential equation. If your partial differential equation is parabolic, after the transformation it will remain parabolic, okay. After the transformation the new discriminant will also be 0. If your partial differential equation is elliptic, so after the transformation your new discriminant will also be less than 0. So your new transformed partial differential equation will also be elliptic. So this was actually done in the previous class, but now let's move on towards the solutions, that how you can actually transform the given partial differential equation. So in any case you will be given the namely three cases, and in that case your partial differential equation can be elliptic or parabolic or hyperbolic. So I am going to start the procedure in the respective cases. So in the first case you will have the hyperbolic case, but I am not going to calculate and explain the hyperbolic case, because this is not the part of your syllabus. You will proceed from parabolic and elliptic case, and if it is not difficult for you, I can also explain the hyperbolic case as well. So it is not actually not very difficult, but let's move on with the elliptic case firstly, okay. So firstly what we will do, we will actually explain that what is elliptic case, or maybe I think elliptic case will be much difficult. Let's start firstly from hyperbolic case. So let's see what happens, okay. So hyperbolic, you will be given a hyperbolic partial differential equation and you will be asked to find the canonical form, okay. What is the canonical form or natural form of the partial differential equation? So this is your question, okay. So in that case, this is the hyperbolic case, you will be given a partial differential equation. So let's move on, that what is actually indeed the partial differential equation. Here there is no PD given because I have explained it generally. So let us start the solution generally. So firstly what I am going to start, I am going to explain you the hyperbolic case generally, and actually this will help you to understand that how we will proceed in each case, okay. Because the steps indeed will be similar in any case. So let us move on towards hyperbolic case, and that case says that for equation, you can name that, okay. I am going to name that equation, this is 2, okay, either because this is general equation, okay. This can be hyperbolic or you can type, no problem, okay. Don't name it 2, we can actually type. So hyperbolic case says that the equation this is hyperbolic, okay, hyperbolic, and which means that the discriminant is positive, strictly positive. This was the discriminant, original discriminant, this has to be positive, okay. Now if this is positive, you will actually use the knowledge of quadratic equations, and you know that if you, because b, a and c are coefficients, I know they can be variable as I told you, but initially just suppose that these are any coefficients, it can be constants, can be variables of any quadratic equation, because If discriminant is 0, you can talk about the famous knowledge from quadratic equations, that the equation of type ax square plus bx plus c equal to 0 will be real and distinct. So I am going to use that knowledge, implies that the equation a alpha square plus b alpha plus c equal to 0 has two real and distinct roots. Okay, so a, b, c are coefficients for the principal part. This is your principal part. But again I am repeating, we are going to use the knowledge of quadratic equations, because you can use the knowledge that if you are given any a, b, a, b and c, any a, b, c, this is general. Okay, what I am going to write is general. We are given any coefficients. Okay, we are given any coefficients a, b, c. So what can we write? Okay, if we are given any coefficients, what can we write easily? We can write that any quadratic equation. Okay, so I am going to write a alpha square plus b alpha plus c equal to 0. You can do that for any ABC. Remember, I have just told you that if you are given any ABC, you can talk about any quadratic equation given as a alpha square plus b alpha plus c. And now you know the property or the relation between ABC as well. What is the relation between ABC? In our case, ABC are precisely the coefficients of second order linear partial differential equations principal part, and it has the relation that b square minus 4ac is positive because I am taking the hyperbolic case. So if you know that your ABC has that relation, so what can you say that we are given any coefficients ABC, this implies that what the equation, okay, the equation this, okay, actually has the equation this has two, okay, has two distinct roots. Okay, since you are given ABC, which was the part of principal part coefficients in the original partial differential equation, you know the relation between ABC. This has the relation that b square minus 4ac is strictly positive because you are going to take hyperbolic case. We are given that any coefficients ABC for any I mean to say any variables or any constants, you can write any quadratic equation a alpha square plus b alpha plus c, and if you know the relation between ABC, you can talk about the nature of the roots. So we know that ABC has the relation b square minus 4ac is strictly positive, so that equation will have two distinct roots. Now you should name the roots because in general you don't know the roots, so you can name that. We name, okay, we name okay, we name the roots as what? Lambda 1. Okay, you name the roots as lambda 1 and lambda 2. Okay, so these are the two unknown roots of this equation. This is the quadratic equation. If you want, you can name that equation as 3. Okay, because this is the name of that equation, no problem. This is the first step, that what we are actually taking the help from quadratic equation. So when you have two roots, lambda 1, lambda 2, now you have to choose xi and eta. Okay, how can you choose that? This was the main step. Okay, so that it can be regarded as first step, step 1. What you will do in step 1? Actually you will write down the quadratic equation, and you will find the two roots lambda 1 lambda 2. So this is your actually indeed first step. Okay, what I am trying to explain you that after that second step will be what? Second step will be that you have to find the transformation, because look, in the canonical form you actually define the transformation. This is the transformation. In general this is function of xy, but in particular when you are given the partial differential equation, how you will actually calculate depending upon whether your equation 1 is parabolic, elliptic or hyperbolic. So we are taking hyperbolic case again, but how you will choose xi and eta, this is on up to your choice, and this is not unique, because xi and eta can be chosen in any way. You are not bound to choose xi and eta in that way. Okay, remember that thing. But how you will choose, this is more important. Look, after the transformation, what actually transformation does? Transformation change the partial differential equation in much more suitable form. This is the actual idea and actual help from the transformation. So this will actually transform this equation into much more simpler form. This is the advantage of transformation. How you will transform, it is not unique. You can define xi and eta, because ultimately you have to choose xi and eta. This step is very important. Okay, we have to choose xi and eta in order to say that. So we have to choose the transformation xi and eta. So this was the transformation. An important thing is that you can choose in any way. The way and the methodology to select the variables xi and eta is not unique, and you are not bound to choose in one particular way. The important thing is that the discriminant must not be equal to 0. So you will select the transformation, but you will take care of just one thing, that discriminant should not be equal to 0. This is the only one condition which you will take care of. And the second most important thing is that whether this is any transformation, that will not alter the type of your partial differential equation. And we know that the transformation xi and eta does not change the type of your partial differential equation, as I have explained you earlier, that if your partial differential equation is parabolic, so after the transformation it will remain parabolic, because the relation between previous discriminant and the new discriminant is given by equation 1. If your partial differential equation is elliptic before the transformation, so after the transformation it will remain elliptic, because that quantity is less than 0 ultimately implies that the left hand side is also less than 0. And a similar pattern will follow for the hyperbolic case. So actually the transformation does not alter your type of partial differential equation. But again the big question is that how you will select xi and eta. Look, xi and eta are selected so that it will remain hyperbolic. So you have to take care of just one thing, that your partial differential equation will remain hyperbolic. Hyperbolic after the transformation says what? After the transformation, hyperbolic implies that. So this is after the transformation. I am trying to explain you how you will select xi and eta. So after the transformation, this will be strictly positive. This is happening after the transformation. Okay, before the transformation it will be b square minus 4ac, but after I have named that b bar square minus 4a bar c bar. So this is after the transformation. Okay. Now what are the expressions for b bar, a bar and c bar? You have to go back and observe the expressions for a bar, b bar and c bar. This is the behavior for A bar, B bar and C bar. So you have to take care that this should be positive. In what ways this can be positive actually give you the idea how you can select xi and eta. So xi and eta can be selected, these xi and eta, by taking care of one thing, that B bar square minus 4A bar C bar should be strictly positive. How you can make a quantity of three variables positive? It is up to you, and we have many choices. For example, you can say that if okay, this is the case, okay, case you can say case A. In that case, what you will do, this is actually on the rough side, that if you take B should be 0 and A positive and C negative, you observe that that quantity will be positive, because B is 0, A is positive, C is negative, and negative will actually make that quantity equal to positive, strictly positive. One more case can be that what? So case B can be that. What is that case? So if you don't take B equal to 0, B can be any value but not equal to 0. Now we are taking B not equal to 0. So if B is not equal to 0, B square will be positive, whether B is negative or positive, B square will be positive. Now take A positive and C negative, again that quantity will be positive. So this is the second choice for B bar, A bar, C bar, which implies that you have second choice for xi and eta. So you are having now two choices. Third choice can be more, any student can give the third choice for any particular values of A, B, C. So indeed you see that in order to select three quantities A bar, C, B bar and C bar, such that the discriminant should not be a negative and equal to 0, the discriminant has to be positive, you are having many choices. What for each choice, okay, for each choice of selection, for A bar, B bar and C bar, okay, for each choice actually you are having a what? We define a transformation, a new transformation, okay. So actually the choice of A bar, B bar and C bar is up to you. You have the formula for A bar, B bar and C bar, you can put and calculate as well, but this is a very long procedure, because then you will have to know the xi and eta derivatives, and you have to solve these again partial differential equations. But the unique choice or the easiest choice for A bar, B bar and C bar is that you observe two things. Firstly, this is a transformation which will not alter your type of partial differential equation, which says that B bar square minus 4A bar C bar has to be strictly positive. Second is that the Jacobian must not be equal to 0. This is the only two rules which you have to follow. So indeed for B bar square minus 4A bar C bar has to be strictly positive. What can you do? As I explained you have three, or you can have many choices. You can either take case 1, you can either take case 2, or there will be many other cases. But the choice which you are going to select is very easy, because look, if A bar is 0, C bar is 0 and B is non-zero, then that discriminant will always be positive. This is the you can say natural choice of A bar, B bar and C bar. So that quantity, again I write, that quantity will be strictly positive if what you will select, you say that B bar, this is the third one choice, that B bar is B is non-zero, not B bar, B is non-zero and A bar is 0, okay, and C bar is also equal to 0. So this was the natural choice of A bar, B bar and C bar, because in that case your discriminant will be positive and the calculations will be easier, because if A bar something is equal to 0, you can easily calculate the derivatives which are involving here, there, okay, xi x square, xi y, xi x and so on. So the calculations will be much more easier. I am not saying that you can follow only that way, you can follow the other cases, case 1 and case C and case B, but that will make your calculations a bit difficult. In that case which I have just written there, the calculations will be much more easier, and this has been taken in the lecture notes as well, that A bar, which was actually this equal to 0 and C bar equal to 0. So when A bar and C bar are 0, okay, when A bar is 0, you are saying that A xi x square plus B xi x xi y plus C xi y square, this is written here, A xi x square plus B xi x xi y and C xi y square, this will be 0, and A eta x square plus B eta x eta y and C eta y square, this will also be equal to 0. So when they are both equal to 0, and you remember that you have two roots of your quadratic equations as well, lambda 1 and lambda 2, but except that these two equations are the equation which is written there, A for xi and the equation which is written for eta, they are similar except that your xi and eta are different, but the coefficients are similar, A, B, C is there, and for the other equation also the coefficients are similar. So indeed again the roots for that equation depends upon what is the choice for A, B, C, okay. So for that equation A bar C will be equal to 0 and C bar will be also equal to 0. What are the formulas for A bar, C bar? You remember from the previous video lecture that A bar has expression this and C bar has expression this, okay. Now I am repeating again and again that this is the one of the choice to select A bar and C bar. As I explained to you earlier that you can select A bar, B bar and C bar in any way. You have to take care of two things, that the discriminant must not be equal to 0 for that transformation xi and eta, and that the type remains the same, that if we are discussing hyperbolic case, so the new transformation does not alter the discriminant which was B bar square minus 4A bar C bar, okay. Now what I was trying to explain, that how we selected equation 6. So this was the equation 6, okay, and how that came into being, you have A bar equal to this, okay, and this is actually 0 because we have selected 0. C bar is actually equal to this, and we have selected to B equal to 0 because we are taking the choice B bar must not be equal to 0, okay, because look, that reduces equation 5. What is equation 5? This is the discriminant equation in new variables. So what will it make? It will make B bar square equal to this, and this has to be strictly positive, okay, and it will be strictly positive because we have taken the choice of A bar, B bar and C bar in our desired way, okay. So what I am going to explain you that A bar has the formula, okay, A bar has the formula is what? A bar has a formula A bar is equal to what? A bar is equal to axi in the previous variable axi x square, okay, axi x square axi x square plus plus you have b xi x xi y, b xi x xi y, okay, plus c xi y square, okay, c xi y square. So this was the formula for A bar, and B bar had the formula. So B bar was equal to the same thing but for eta, similar pattern for eta. So that will be replaced by eta, okay, that will also be replaced by eta, sorry, eta and again eta. Okay, now you have written the formulas for A bar, B bar and A bar and B bar. We know that this has to be 0, it is written in the lecture slide, okay, because this is our choice, this is one of the choice to indeed transform that quantity should be strictly positive, because if A bar and C bar is 0, you are left with B bar and B bar will not be equal to 0, so the quantity will be positive. This is your choice, remember that, this is your choice. That is why we are taking A bar and C bar equal to 0. But if A bar equal to 0 or B bar equal to 0, you can take any one so that you can actually form the calculations. If A bar equal to 0, what happens? This is more important. So there is xi x, xi x, xi y and xi y. Remember that. Okay, you can take any one of them, but they are in some sense homogeneous, or you can say they are similar as well. Homogeneous, why homogeneous? Because you have xi x square, xi x, xi y and xi y square. You can say that if xi x is equal to some quantity, then it will be quadratic as well, okay. So what I am going to explain you that what is the relation between this equation 3, okay, and A bar and C bar. So what is the relation? What is the relation? What is the relation between this, okay, and A bar and C bar, okay, between, okay, I can write without number, between this and, okay, and A bar and C bar, okay, A bar and C bar, so B bar, sorry, not C bar. So there is a relation which we are going to form that relation. How can you form that? Look, if xi x equal to some quantity which is something like that, okay, xi if xi x equal to, look, if xi x equal to lambda 1 xi y and eta x equal to lambda 2 xi y, what will happen if, okay, xi x, okay, which is partial xi by partial x, no problem. If xi x equal to lambda 1, which was the first root, okay, remember that lambda 1 was the first root, it can be value of alpha, okay, remember that this is the value of alpha such that this quantity equal to 0. If xi x is lambda 1 xi y, okay, what happens? Just put that, what happens to okay, A bar. So or not a bar, okay, a bar equal to 0. What happens to a bar equal to 0, or the formula for a bar equal to 0? What happens? Just put that value. The a will be there, a will be there, okay. What will be the value of xi x? Xi x will be lambda 1 xi y, okay. So what will happen? That will become lambda 1 xi y square, okay. That will become lambda 1 xi y square. The second term will become b, xi x is lambda 1 xi y, and there is also xi y. So what will happen? It will become again lambda 1 xi y square, okay, lambda 1 xi y square plus c, okay, xi y square, okay. So yeah, a xi x square plus it will also lambda 1 plus c, maybe there is a mistake, no, c xi y square, okay. So xi y is okay, it will be xi y, yes, xi y square, okay, equal to 0. So equal to 0, okay. So you say that, you see that there is xi y square, xi y square, xi y square common. So implies that what happens? You take xi y square as common, and what you are left with, this is very important, you are left with a quantity, okay. So I have made mistake, xi x was lambda 1, so there was xi x square, there will be lambda 1 square as well, okay. So there will be a square quantity as well, because you are taking square of the xi x. So if you take common from that equation, what will be there? There will be a lambda 1 square, okay, a lambda 1 square plus b lambda 1, okay, plus c, and you know that this is 0 because it implies that lambda 1 is the root of that equation, okay. So indeed, if we choose xi x in that way, then your equation will become quadratic, and quadratic like the previous one, like we had transformed initially, okay, equation 3. So this is the choice of a bar c bar that makes xi x like this, okay. Because you have to think by yourself, you have to select xi x and xi and eta, okay. How you can select? This is the one way. What does that way do? That way actually makes ODs of xi x and eta x, okay. So that, and again similar to that, if you take eta x equal to lambda 1 eta y, that equation says that b bar is equal to 0, similar to that. So indeed the choice of xi and eta is like that, xi x equal to lambda 1 xi y, and eta x, okay, eta x is equal to lambda 2, the second root for initial quadratic equation, lambda 2 eta y, okay, eta y. So these are the random choices for xi and eta. And the third step is that this was the step which I wanted to explain you thoroughly, okay, that how we selected xi and eta. We selected xi and eta such that a bar c bar is 0, number 1. Number 2 is that xi and eta had the choices that xi will be equal to this, okay, this was the first choice, okay, I write collectively, and eta had the choice this, that eta x will be equal to lambda 2 eta y, okay. Now using these choices in the step 3, you will write step 3 as like that. In the step 3, what actually you do, in the step 2 you have learned how to select xi in theta. So in step 3 you will actually implement this knowledge. How? You will implement that actually if you divide xix and eta x by chain rule, actually you can talk about dy by dx, okay, because on the left hand side you have partial eta over partial y, and on the right hand side you have partial eta over partial x. If you can divide both of them, actually you can write from okay, I name that 4, okay, from 4 you can write one characteristic equation from equation 4, okay, you can write one equation, we can write one characteristic equation. What characteristic equation? Look, what is the quantity for dy by dx for both sides, okay? Here the dy by dx will be lambda 1 over lambda 2, or you can say that yes, here that there will be also be value of dy by dx. So in general, what can you say that you can actually make the chain rule. If you make the chain rule, the quantity, note that 6 is first order linear partial differential equation, okay. So yeah, this is a linear partial differential equation, this is also and this is also. And you know that for linear partial differential equation, the method of characteristics says, what is the method of characteristics for linear case? You have to repeat that lectures. I have uploaded already on LMS. This says that the characteristic equations are dy, okay, by dx, dy by dx, okay, equal to a, okay. What is a? A is the coefficient of if you remember, was coefficients of dependent variables derivative with respect to y and z, okay. So you are having there a as lambda 1, and in that case a is lambda 2. So in general you can write dy by dx equal to a, or you can take on the left hand side plus lambda I, okay. Some book says that this is minus lambda I, it does not alter the calculation. You can take plus or minus, whichever you want. So you can write here lambda either 1 or 2, okay, because this is the method of characteristics for linear partial differential equations. And you remember that for linear case the characteristic equation was dy by dx equal to a, okay. So when it is equal to a, you can take on the left hand side and a is actually lambda 1 in your case, actually lambda 1. So the method of characteristics ordinary differential equation becomes dy by dx plus lambda 1 equal to 0 and dy by dx plus lambda 2 equal to 0. Now you will solve this equation for lambda 1 and lambda 2. So you will have actually two equations. What are these equations? You have lambda, okay, I write there, you have actually dy by dx plus lambda 1 equal to 0, okay, and you have also solve, okay, you have also dy by dx plus lambda 2 equal to 0. You will solve, and what you will get? You will get the relations between x and y, okay. There will be two relations. One relation of xy will be from there above equation. You can name left hand side, there will be some constant as well, because you are solving this differential equation generally. So there will be two functions, okay. One you can name as xi, because this will be your transformation. This is the procedure to calculate the transformation. On the right hand side there will be some constant of integration, you can name that c1, and for the other you can name as eta, or you can name above as eta and the below you can name as xi. This is totally your choice, and the constant will be on the right hand side. You remember that we named that procedure as characteristic curves, and these curves were the integral curves as well when we used method 1 and method 2. That constants will be on the right hand side and variables will be on the left hand side. So these are the characteristic curves, and these are actually our required transformations which are given in the following form. So these family of curves are called characteristic curves for the partial differential equation. You remember this knowledge has been previously discussed as well. with the choice, with this choice for xi and eta, if we divide 4 throughout by b bar, because now a bar c bar is 0, and what is 4? 4 is actually the integral part, principal part, equal to any single derivatives and dependent variable with xi and eta. So if you divide that part, what you will get, this is more so to say knowledge. You can skip that step, but you will do that step in your calculation, which is example 1. Okay, so this was the last step, this was the third step that you will solve, and in the last step what you will do, actually you will write up your equation into suitable form. Okay, this was in the slides I was trying to explain you. So you will write solution in suitable form also. So this is the last step. These are the 4 main steps in which you can calculate the canonical form for hyperbolic. This was the first case, and I will upload the videos for the parabolic case as well, but just roughly we can concentrate on the example as well. This is the partial differential equation. Okay, we know that a is 1, b is 0 and c is minus x. So the roots of the equations okay will be what? A is 1, b is 0, c is minus x k. So the root will be, you have to find the root. This is the step 1. Okay, when you find the root, alpha, you have 2 values, lambda 1 is x and lambda is minus x. Remember that c was minus x here. Okay, so and you are taking the hyperbolic case. Okay, so you are taking alpha square, I think there is minus. Okay, maybe there is a mistake. So there will be 2 solutions, a is 1, okay, b is 0, c is minus x square. Okay, when c is minus x square, so there will be minus. I think there is a mistake. And alpha will have 2 values, plus x and minus x. So lambda 1 will be x or lambda 2 will be minus x. There is 2 roots. If you are having problem, you can name also alpha 1 and alpha 2 the name of the roots. But I have generally named lambda 1 and lambda 2 the roots. And in the step 3, you have 2 partially ordinary differential equations, the characteristic equations, that dy by dx is equal to x and dy by dx equal to minus x. When you solve, you have 2 values, f1 is this and the second is this. Okay, constants, as I repeat to you, that constants will be on the right hand side like that. Okay, so left hand side of one constant will be named as xi and the left hand side of the second constant will be named as eta. So this is your required transformation. Now you will go back to your original partial differential equation. You have uxx, so you have to calculate the value of uxx. In transformation ux has that expression and double derivative has that expression. So when you plug back the values of xix, eta x here, you will actually come to know that the values of u, y and uxx are these. So you will take these values into the original equation. Okay, and you will actually find that there you will put the values of uxx and uyy and also x will not be there because x will be transformed to xi or eta. So you have to calculate the value of x. You can add xi and eta or subtract xi and eta. You will see that you will get the value of x here as xi minus eta. So this actually xi minus eta has the value x here, u xi eta will be there, and when you put the values you will get the answer like that. So this is the suitable canonical form or standard form of your partial differential equation which was given there. This was the procedure, and I roughly explained to you the example. I hope you understand the whole methodology for hyperbolic case. In the next videos I will help you and try to upload the videos regarding parabolic case and one example of that case as well, and the part for canonical forms will be finished for when we cover the parabolic case. Thank you very much for listening. Please subscribe the channel as well, and try to learn as much as you can. And if you have some questions, I am there. Just read the video. I hope you will understand the methodology. Thank you very much.